truth be told, every champion has felt it. Every president has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every lion has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to commit.
Crossroads, life's tolls, life goes. I gotta win. W my lockdown. You can't rewind.
Hey, how are you guys doing today? This is your host, Sonia, and apparently your host, Ikenna, also on the Remember Who You Are 222 podcast. I have my guest, Miguel, here with us today. How are you doing today, Miguel?
I'm doing great. Yeah.
All right. So just to introduce him a little bit, so he's a current practicing therapist, licensed in Ohio, as well as a personal transformational coach. Before becoming a therapist and coach, Miguel has 5 years of in-depth experience working with herbalists and indigenous tribes of Washington State, which were the springboard of him recognizing the importance of body, mind, and spirit. So that's interesting, especially as a therapist, a licensed therapist. So why don't you go into telling of the listeners like your story and what kind of brought you into what you do now?
Okay. First off, thank you, and I love how just real casual this is. I love it. So I guess it's such an interesting thing when you think about like what got me here, like like when you really think about that question, because it's like there's so many things, but I think that the general gist of my life was like unhappy and using substances and all that stuff to try to find some sense of happiness, right? Community, which took me to at some point in my life deciding like I got to stop this. It's not no fun anymore. Moved to Washington State where I did all of the plant stuff. I worked with indigenous tribes for 5 years, herbalists, doing anything I could to learn about plants, just wanting to learn how to heal myself, basically, And then through sitting in the woods oftentimes by myself, recognizing all the thoughts and the things that were happening, not just how I taking care of myself with physical body, right, with the herbs and moving my body and all that. Noticing though that my thoughts, there's still a lot of stuff going on there, right? A lot of insecurities, fears, all this stuff. And so that kind of made me start to think of like, okay, how do I want to work with that? What do I want to do with that? Besides solitude and silence, which is I think one of the best things to do. I was like, also thinking about what I want to do with my life at that point. I was like, how can I combine those two? Like work on myself and make money. I thought about a lot of things, came to be look at therapy, and I was like, oh, I can work with people. People are like endlessly interesting, and the human mind, we're still trying to understand all of this. So I began to do that. So I was like, okay, just become a therapist. So I've been a therapist for the last 5 years. And that like working with the mind, I'm like, okay, I'm at this space where I want to combine them back together. The mind, the body, the spirit, and just kind of see where it takes me. We had been talking about that kind of awakening process.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of like, and where I'm at now is like a year ago, I had this kind of awakening process. I've been doing therapy for 5 years, and kind of just changed the trajectory of my life, like where I'm going, where I'm heading. And so that's kind of where I'm at. It's just kind of in the flow of seeing where that takes me, of combining all these experiences and things I've done together again into like a natural flow. And that's why my current business / program is called Sovereign Flow. It's like my own personal, unique experience in the world and what I'm adding to it, and then other people that same process.
Okay. I know we talked about this a bit before we started the recording, but I definitely wanted to get that on here too. But so I know you're a licensed therapist, and there's like certain guidelines you kind of have to go by when you're doing the therapy versus when you're doing your transformational coaching. You want to go into that a little bit, or?
Yeah, just that, the reason I think I decided to do the coaching was one, when I had this kind of awakening process, remembering process, maybe it feels better. Actually, like this remembering process, I had like so much insight and clarity into like what I've been doing as a therapist, and wanted to create my own type of therapy at first, And so when I started to realize what I wanted to do, that made me kind of understand, like, as a therapist, you have scope of practice. And within that, you have boundaries, you have limits. You can push on them a little bit, but because modalities of things, I'm just like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to worry about any legal problems. So that's kind of where the coaching came in. I was like, because I want to do other things. I want to work with herbs again, plants, in-person things that, like, as a therapist would be considered dual relationships, which is really avoided. But my understanding of healing, I found, is like it's necessary as a part of healing. It's like you can't separate these things as if it's compartmentalizing these things. That community and connecting and sharing space and life with somebody to some degree is part of the healing process. But like as a therapist, there's boundaries there. So it's kind of like that's where
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like a lot. I guess a lot of things that are just ran, like when I was in government and stuff, like when I was working for the government, I know I was there to help like the wounded warriors, but there's only so much you can do or say there.
Yeah.
To people. I did start like giving speeches that seems to really like help people, but yeah, I knew it was like time for me to leave the government in general and just like, kind of go on my own thing.
Yeah, because there's only so much things you can say, right? And so much things you can recommend, because it's like it's kind of frowned upon within certain things, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I want to do coaching. Is like it just opens up a lot of possibilities and potentialities.
Yeah. Okay. And then I know you said that you started working with the herbs and stuff like 5 years ago.
Well, that was more like 10 plus years ago. So I've been doing therapy for 5 years ago.
Okay.
And then before that, there was a small break, and then there was like 5 years. So a little over 10 years ago, I was doing in-depth work with. It started out as just like, so I moved from the deserts of Nevada to Washington State, and I was like, holy crap, there are a lot of plants here. And it started out as just like, I want to learn them all. I want to know what's edible, what's medicinal, what's good for fiber or weaving, what's good for everything, right? To try to figure out what are all these plants good for. And that started the process of like getting into plants really deeply. And then I got lucky, and the roommate I had was kind of working with an herbalist, and so I just started to be the muscle. I was just helping them carry everything all the time. So when they would go do presentations, I would just carry all the stuff for them. But I would sit and listen, and that's how I got my foot into the door of working with this herbalist, Elise Crone, in Washington State. And then that just blew up after that. Saying yes to whatever they offer. Do you want to do this? Do you want to learn about this? Do you want to present? Learn how to make this medicine? Do you want to go harvest these things and so on? And this is like yes. So that ultimately changed my life, because it's just like it made me look at things really differently.
Yeah. Okay. And I know we talked about it a little bit too, but you kind of had like this This spiritual awakening, or you said remembrance type thing.
Yeah.
When was that? And then can you go into like your experience a little bit more?
Yeah, it was November 20th of last year. And I was really getting into somatic psychotherapy, which is basically bringing the body into therapy. So you're not just talking about stuff all the time, but what's going on in the body. So I was practicing my own little meditations of just feeling and not like trying to ignore it or deny it. Just feeling this thing, and I'm just gonna feel it. And I remember I was on the couch. I had an edible because I was like trying to just really calm and feel the sensation of my body.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, like I started to feel this fear. I started to like catastrophize because I was thinking about certain things, how my life was going, and so on and so forth. And so I was just flooded with fear and catastrophizing, and all of a sudden, in the middle of that, which had never happened before, I recognized that like within that experience, there was a sense of peace and calm that that I'm safe. That like just because I feel the fear and I'm feeling my mind, watching my mind catastrophize and all this stuff, but like recognizing on that couch in my room, I'm safe, that there's nothing going on. And I realized how often we do that with everything in life. And with that, it was just from there, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like so much clarity and understanding of like feeling all of this complete and utter fear and terror even, and catastrophizing. And I remember thinking about my son dying and all these really terrible things, you know? But at the same time, this experience of like peace and calm and relaxation of realizing those are just thoughts and feelings that I'm having, that I'm not those things, and those are just experiences that I'm having. And that's okay. There's nothing I need to worry about because everything is good. They're just thoughts and feelings.
Yeah. And
then from there, again, it was just like a flood of clarity of like what I was doing as a therapist, what I wanted to do as a therapist, what I wanted to do with my life. I quite literally seen like the trajectory of my life shift of like, there's where I was going, and now I'm going this way, which is much more conscious living. So it seemed like all of a sudden I understood that I was living very unconsciously. That like I had all these habits and patterns and things, and that like that's how I was living my life, just like completely unconscious. And I realized as a therapist, like, oh crap, that's all of my clients too. They're all living unconsciously, but they're beginning to understand that like they don't want to live that way because they want to change their anxiety.
Yeah.
So like, oh, they want to live more consciously, like stop repeating patterns and habits and limiting beliefs and so on and so forth. So that was, and like I said before, after that it was like 10 days of just information where I just I wrote down the Sovereign Flow program. I ended up coming up with the Well Balanced Warrior program in my head. I came up with the book idea, and like I'd never thought about any of these things before. But after that, it's just so much information was just around me all the time that if I wasn't doing a therapy session and I wasn't asleep, I was just journaling in my phone about all these ideas coming. It's an experience where it's like you're online and you hear people say all these like Google stuff, and people will be like, I'm having all these downloads today, and I would hate that. I would hear that, I'd be like,
say that.
I hate that. But that's literally the best way I can describe that experience.
Yeah.
It's like all this information, and I'm like, what the hell? So then I was like, okay. And I started to
it's so much information at once. And I don't even know how I retain that.
It is still like a year later that I have, sometimes I'll just get on these days on end where ideas will flow and I just write them down as fast as I can because I'm like, oh, that and that and that and that. Because there's just so much clarity in my life. And it's like, who knows what happened there? All I know is I wanted to eat a brownie that I made, calm down, and just feel my body once.
Yeah.
And something happened. And I believe that's happening for a lot of people. Honestly, I think that what I went through is more of a global thing that is occurring for a lot of people, because after that, I started to just run into people with the same, the same story.
They're like similar stories. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so there's something happening. There's something happening here for people. Many people who are just like understanding that, like, there's clarity in their life of like who they are, where they're going, or whatever,
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. Like, I really believe in the Great Awakening, and that is what it is like happening right now. Because so back in 2020, that was the first time I heard of the Great Awakening and the rise of consciousness, but I didn't really understand it then. There was like one guy I followed, and then Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza has been like my guy. And he was the one that I listened to. I just heard this. It popped up one day after I had already gone through like a crazy experience, like Dark Night of the Soul type experiences. And it like popped up on my feed, like, okay, you're ready for this type of thing. And it was just a meditation mantra type of thing that it also had like a movement mantra and some breath work in it. And that was really what like catalyzed. I just dove right into it. And it caused like an awakening experience for me, where I was able to see the clarity and the it was just a spiritual high for a good 2 months. So I wrote a book. There was like a bunch of things I was able to do. Time didn't matter. And so since then, I've kind of been working my way back to it, if that makes sense. It's like, because then I felt like all the insecurities started bubbling up, and I had to start working through all of those.
That's definitely part of it.
But I do believe, like you said, I feel like once you're in alignment, you have access to those ideas and all those different things that can pop in. And it's interesting because, and that was what I was going to ask you too about. After that experience, you feel like, because I felt like I had like a heightened intuition, heightened sense of, I've always had this sense of clairsentience for me, but it's heightened more so now. Do you feel like you have like spiritual gifts that are kind of heightened after the experience? Like,
I don't know. I feel like that, like, maybe the gift itself is just so much clarity around things, like
or like being able to feel into your clients more.
So there's a few things like discernment, right? There's a certain recognition of discernment of like. So one thing was like getting to subtle layers of my experience of like excitement, right? Okay. I was really looking at excitement of like as an experience of like, how can I have more excitement in my life? But I started to notice like the subtle layers of like that not all things that are exciting are good, right? Because I used to get real, messed up on stuff, and that was really exciting for me, it was really exciting for me. So I just started to notice these subtle layers of like excitement feels this way, and that it can lead you certain ways, and you got to be conscious of that process. And so I think part of it was like discernment, and kind of like the subtle layer of my experience was part of it. Like I just became more aware of that process that was occurring, of like noticing the fractal patterning of like how insecurity shows up in my life on a big picture and on these subtle small layers, right? So like that's one thing, but I think that it's hard to know because as a therapist with people, I'm trying not to assume or draw conclusions. I'm trying to be present with the person and see what arises between us. But it's hard not to notice that humans are patterns, to some degree. And I think maybe sometimes it's easier for me to see it.
Yeah.
Or that I'm so in touch with what I feel that I see it and then someone else easier or something like that, right? Like, it's like someone's talking to me. I can notice
I don't know.
I can notice like
There's a tantrum.
I can notice a slight shift in them, right? Like this tiniest little move in their facial structure or something.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, and I just pick up on that quicker now. And so I don't know if that's because of being a therapist or if it's because that thing helped me do something, that awakening. But I sense like a shift in people more often. I'm watching them and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, very clear. Like I feel like you have a mask on. And I'll be like, oh, I hear this often. Like, holy shit, like you nailed it. I hear that all the time. You nail it. And I'm like, because I'm not trying to figure anything out, right? So that's the thing about that I've noticed is like, I'm not trying to figure anything out or fix anything. I'm just trying to be aware of what is occurring between us and then fixing it and seeing if it's accurate or not, really, honestly. So it's like, seems like what I just said was really hard for you to hear. And people will be like, and they'll start crying and be like, it was one of the hardest things I heard. Like, how did you know? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going off what is coming up for me. So I think that's the best way I can describe it is like, I trust, maybe that's the best way to put this, is I become to really just trust that like whatever is occurring and flowing through me to trust that it might be the very thing that needs to be said or done or whatever in that very moment, and to just do it and see what happens, and trusting the unfolding of life at the same time. So it's this combination of trusting myself and life unfolding together, and then it'll be fine no matter what we do because I'm being intentional about who I am in the world. So it's like, that's the best way to describe it, if that it makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense to me. Because it's definitely, I feel like it's part of being connected to, it does feel like at least the way you said it, it sounds like you are connected to your intuition and just being present with somebody. Whatever you hear, like it comes through basically type of thing. So, so it makes a lot of sense to me. Because I feel like, since I've had my experience, I've been able to kind of, at least since I've worked on a lot of my patterns and subconscious patterns, it's almost like now that I know what like choosing love over fear is, I'm able to see it better in other people when they can't like see it in themselves yet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that you can see they're co-creating a life from fear or whatever in those moments. You can be like, oh, you're afraid of doing that or whatever, right? Something like that. Yeah, exactly. And then there's sometimes you're doing stuff out of fear that you don't even realize. Yeah. Just the way people react all the time. It's usually like out of fear, like fear of losing somebody or fear of, absolutely not trusting the relationship. So it's just interesting. Like working with people and then being on that like heightened sense of intuition versus I mean, I do believe that the world is going to get to a point, we're going to get to a point where this stuff is obviously working, so it's going to have to like come into the mainstream eventually. I do too. It makes me think of like think back years ago when organic and sustainable and green was just like an idea that you kind of heard on the fringe of things if you were into that, right? Like, because I was, working with other plants, so I was already like, I was on the fringes of that at that point, right? It wasn't mainstream. Yeah. But nowadays, it's like, who doesn't know about organic, sustainability, going green, all those things? Like, it's common. It's part of the regular language, and I think that's kind of what we're witnessing now to some degree, right? Is like there's a shift happening and it's kind of on the fringes, but I think that it's going to become something, my hopes are rather, hope that it becomes more widespread, that like
people are conscious about who they are and how they want to be in the world, and that's huge, right? Because it's like, what more would you want from a population of people that are conscious, aware of who they are, how they're acting, and how they want to be, and trying to best with that as best as they can. It's like, that's a pretty good world, you know?
Yeah. Hey, no string. You don't need the string in your mouth.
But yeah, that's kind of what my hopes are. I mean, I think so too. That's
yeah, no, I definitely believe that that is happening, and it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Because even now, what we were talking about earlier with when I first heard about the Great Awakening, it seemed like only a few people were into it, but now there's like so many different things out there, like millions of people are following. I don't know if you've heard of the podcast Next Level Soul.
No, I haven't.
That has like millions of followers, and
really?
It's completely woo woo. They have like psychic mediums.
Oh yeah.
People who channel extraterrestrials, or like just different different types of beings.
I get that. Right. And that's like the openness to potential possibilities too. Like, that's definitely one thing that occurred for me, was like lack of judgment, just neutrality and openness to like, everything is allowed to be and all that, and I just get to have a preference in what I want to and how I want to live my life. But like, this non-judgmental way of being is just so natural for me now. Of like, before I'd be so judgmental, like I'm saying, like, I would say I'm getting downloads or all these things. I'd be like, just so judgmental. I'd be like, what a bunch of you know? And but now I'm like, everybody's allowed to have their own experience and do whatever, and it's not bothering me. I don't care.
Yeah, say whatever.
There's no judgment, right? But then you start having experiences, and I start having experiences of like things where it's hard to ignore, and I'm just like, I hate that cliche word, but that's the only way that describes what I'm experiencing as well, you know? And so things like that, yeah. And I think that so I'm being more open to like, I don't know, let's see. That's like kind of approach everything is like,
just open.
It could, I don't know. I'm just gonna see where it goes. Because I was watching Bashar. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I've heard of Bashar.
So I first started watching it, and I thought it was just a blind guy saying really pretty profound things, and I was like, damn, that is really good. It's like, it's a difference of like knowing or thinking you have heard the truth versus like knowing and feeling the truth, right? Does that make sense?
In your body,
like,
no, definitely.
Like that feels like the truth. And
so
sometimes
for me, when I feel the truth, like a universal truth, I feel like chills in my body.
Yeah, or something. I feel chill. Rather than think, right? Anyways, the whole point of that was like, when I first started watching it, I was like, bunch of BS, dude. And I thought it was just the blind guy who was like really with it, you know? I was like, oh man, this guy's really. But then I learned that it was he's a guy, Daryl Anka, who is channeling an alien.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of like stopped watching it for a while because I was like, BS.
You're like an alien.
But I couldn't help but find myself some of the things he was saying. Oh no.
All right.
Okay. So anyways, I was like, you know, this guy was channeling this alien, but I couldn't help but recognize that, like, I would think about some of the things he was thinking later on, and just being like, I've been somewhat applying some of those things in my life before I knew it was an alien, and it was working really well, like some of the things they were saying, and I was like, let me hear it out, And then when I had that awakening, like I just was like, I don't really care who's saying it.
Yeah.
The information is pretty solid. So some of the information that I'm hearing is like really great. So that openness, basically just what I was getting at. Like this is openness, like listening to people, listening to things, not judging and just being like, okay, let me just sit with this, take what makes sense for me, and the other stuff isn't wrong or right. It's just like I just land for me, and that's okay. But that's been not labeling things because it creates a certain flow in life.
Because what I realize is, everybody is different, and everybody has the things that resonate with them versus what doesn't.
Right, exactly.
And I do like to listen to some of the people who I listened to this guy named Dr. Samuel Lee, and he was a psychiatrist actually for a long time. And then he says take 80%, the 80% that resonates, and leave the rest, because that's just how it is basically. Like, and not everybody is gonna resonate with everything. And it is interesting that you say that too, because when I first started listening to the channeling, and it's like your brain, even just knowing a bit about the brain and how it works, like your brain just does that to new things, because it's like, wait, is that real? Like, I don't think that's real. And then I realized after a while, when I started looking at it, and I was like, okay, when these people channel these people, there's no like stutters, there's no like, it's just coming through. And they even have studies now of when these people channel, because I watch Gaia TV a lot, and it's on Gaia. And where they have studies where when people start to channel, something in their brain goes different. It's like I forgot what it was, but there's a certain wavelengths will start to kick in. Yeah, like a different wavelength, basically, once they start channeling, and there's very little brain activity. So it's something coming through as like a frequency.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started realizing, like frequencies, like, I mean, it makes complete sense, because we know that there's like Wi-Fi and channels that we watch and radios that we listen to. So like, it makes complete sense that everybody is on different frequencies, and you can bring yourself to different frequencies. And and I feel like that those doubts in it being real just like went away after a lot of the information just sounds too correct. Because I listened to Bashar, and I also listened to the lady who channels Abraham.
I've heard.
Abraham is just like an entity. And so a lot of stuff that she says too when she channels Abraham is just like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I even have had new realizations, every time I listen to it, and the more I learn too, because I believe that we're constantly supposed to be expanding.
And one of the best ways to expand is to take away those labels and judgment. Right?
Stop. I don't like that. So stop doing that.
Right? Like that openness to whatever is.
Yeah.
It's very, very big.
Listen, you're just upset that I stop doing that, okay? I don't like your spit on my face.
Yes.
He's just like spitting on his hand and wiping it.
I know. I was watching it, and I was like, the insides of me was like, oh, okay, my son's 12. I think just that neutrality and non-judgment is huge. I think it's one of the biggest things that I try to also impart within all of my coaching and therapy. Is like, let's strip away the label and the judgment and the definitions and the ideas of what that is, and let's just take a look at it. And it just clears up so much for a lot of people when they take away the wrong, the right, and all that. The dichotomies that we get so stuck in. And when it's like, if you can live with some neutrality of like the dichotomies exist, but also I don't have to participate in them all the time. Something like that. Life is so much more simpler and calmer and peaceful and everything. Like everything's just like, because you don't go, oh great, like this guy or this thing is pissing me off, this thing is bad or this thing is good. You're just kind of like, well, you know, it is what it is, and I choose to respond in this way, and that's it. And then you move on with life. Nothing becomes heavy, you know. Like I used to have road rage and shit, but I don't anymore because it's like I just go, well, you know, maybe this person did this or whatever. I just go through my mind of like all the potential possibilities of what this could mean, and
like they're probably in a hurry because of something, or
and I've cut people off before on accident. Like I didn't see him, and so it's just like. Just not labeling it and just being like, oh yeah, there's all possibilities. Even if that person did it on purpose and cut me off, what is my stressing my body out, quite literally, cortisol, all stuff that occurs from stress. What is that going to do with the scenario other than actually impact my own life rather than this person, which I'm wanting to impact in their life, you know? But really, I'm only doing it to myself. So all of that realization of just kind of like, you know what, just hold off on all that and just kind of, it just brings more peace and calm in my life. It just is openness, non-judgmental kind of neutrality of people saying stuff that seems really wild and crazy that just doesn't seem like true to me. I don't go, that's not right. I just kind of go, cool, that sounds good for you.
Yeah.
You know? I hope it works out for you.
Each their own.
Yeah. Because like you're saying, there's a certain resonation. Like that doesn't resonate with me, but it doesn't mean that it's wrong or right. It just means that I don't feel that in my life, and that's fine. You know? So that's kind of where I'm at generally in life.
Yeah, that is something that Bashar talks about a lot.
Yeah.
About just like, you know, basically like it doesn't matter what other people like. And even Abraham, like people get so upset about what other people are doing in their life. It's like just focus on your own life.
Yeah. But the way we interpret things and the meaning we give things greatly either reduces or increases your own suffering.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you in the whole non-judgment part too. And I feel like there's some people who don't believe that you can become non-judgmental. But I really feel like I've been able to get to a point where, I don't feel judgment over anything anymore. And like, even if I have like a little bit of judgment over myself, I'm able to see it and like, you know, discard it basically.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't experience judgment. I see it and witness it within myself, but I don't attach to it anymore as true or accurate, or that I need to say that is, you know, that is the case, that I am judging that thing as this. I witness the judgment itself. I don't attach to it, and then I just kind of go, okay, and I move on. Like it doesn't, like it used to just hold its truth and strength inside of me of like that person is no good, when it's like now I'm like they probably have their reasons and I move on. So it's not like the lack of I still witness it and experience it, but I just don't express it anymore. I don't express it, I don't embody it. I don't attach to it. It's kind of like, oh, I notice myself judge that person real quick right now, but I'm not going to do anything other than notice there was a judgment and then move on from it. You know, I'm not that kind of what you're saying, I think.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. I feel like even in the therapy world, it took me the longest time to even find a therapist that I wanted to talk to, because you can almost like feel the judgment coming from some people. And so I finally found one that, you know, I didn't feel any judgment from, even if he did in his head, but I never felt it. So I was able to like say all the things I needed to say and, you know, pour it all out. But I think that definitely helps when people are able to say the things that they would have normally been like ashamed of saying. So, I definitely agree with that. And I feel like even lately when I talk to my friends and I just listen, because people just tell me things because I guess I'm just that person that they feel comfortable telling things to. But I'm just like, look, I'm not judging you any kind of way but you can feel the difference when they're like, oh, well, you know, that's different. Like I've never had anybody come that way. They're usually like, oh, you know, he ain't shit. You should just leave him.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I was just like, look, I don't have any judgment. Like I understand that the man, like he's not a bad guy. He just has root wounds he hasn't addressed. So, you know.
Right. Yeah. And it's so much easier to approach things that way.
Yeah.
Because when you've made a judgment, the way that you interact with that person, place, or thing that you've judged is kind of set in stone to some degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of like, if I label that person as a jerk, every little thing
differently than what he actually is.
Yeah, and everything they do now is filtered through the jerkiness. So it's like
the
thing they said was very jerk-like, or that the action they did was like that's such a jerk thing.
Yeah.
But that's purely because I'm just interpreting everything as because I've already labeled him as a jerk or whatever.
Right.
But when you realize, like, hey man, everybody's struggling too, just like I am, and I'm trying to be happy.
Right. It's
Most
like,
people are doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
That you can connect better and you start to see people differently, and the way that you interact with them is much more gentle and easygoing, and you kind of give people the space in that moment to, like you're saying, when you didn't feel judged, you felt free to just kind of finally feel it out.
Let it all out.
So like if we're doing that with one another all the time, it gives people the freedom to get out of their own pattern, their own habits, their own selves, because it's like, they're not being treated like everybody else treats them. Does that make sense? That kind of idea?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because even from what I know and what I've studied and what I've uncovered so far, what I've realized is that when people have a safe container to be able to speak into and get advice from that higher perspective, that's when it starts to activate people. And like I call it activate now because I don't think people need fixed. I think everyone is on their own like path, and if people come to you or me or something, it's because they're aligned to that level to need that activation to go to the next level.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. That's like what you just said is like, I think, because it's a whole nother conversation. That might be a good place to end, but that space of realizing that no one is broken or needs to be fixed, and there's nothing wrong with anybody. That's my general, like, how I do that. Like, this person isn't broken or fixed.
Baby.
I just want to help this person help themselves.
Yeah.
That there's nothing to fix, so that you're not broken. I mean, that's I think the first sentences or two of one of my websites is like that. That's like, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. There's nothing wrong with you, because that's what I've witnessed. It's like that's what I generally understand things to be too. You know what I mean? I mean, it's such a. But again, when you think that way, the way you relate to somebody is so different. When you're not like, all screwed
versus
up.
like I have to help them, or because I used to be the type of person that I just wanted to help people, and I realized that was even coming from my own lack within me, because I needed like that validation, like, oh, you helped me or something, like you inspired me. And so I realized that was even a toxic trait in myself back then.
Yeah.
You always want to help people. But when you come from that neutral, centered space, it's like, it actually helps activate people more versus trying to help them and like if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's like, that's why I think, the best way to describe like what I'm doing as a therapist and coach is like, I'm just trying to find a way to help people help themselves. That's really what I'm doing. It's
really
like,
what it is. Yeah.
kind of remind them of their own power, their own capabilities, their own strengths, so that they realize that, oh yeah, I guess I'm not broken. There's nothing to fix, right? Which brings on another whole conversation about what healing or healed is. But anyways, that's kind of like the best thing one of the best things I've come across is like, I'm not trying to fix anybody or that there's nothing wrong with anybody. That like when I see people that way, it's like I see them in a completely different way too. It's not broken. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're capable. Now I just have to help remind them of their own capabilities. So,
yeah, no, that's definitely true. It's just reminding people of their own ability to because we're more powerful than we know.
Absolutely.
We're led on to believe.
Absolutely. But if we all are reminding each other of that all the time, everywhere we go, it's like all of a sudden you have a whole population of people reminding each other of like, you can do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it just like lifts everybody up.
That we're just, that's one of the big things that I learned in working with other tribes is to have this part of the culture, part of the language is that they in the Salish region is they talk about always lifting each other up, because if everybody's lifting everybody up, there's no one's ever left behind. There's no one's ever sitting in the bottom, right? Or what we hierarchically would consider like the bottom. Because everybody is just lifting everybody else up, and it's like that. I think that's where, again, a hope of mine. I think that's where we're heading, hopefully.
Yeah. No, I do believe that we are heading that way. I think it's going to take, a lot of, which I think is happening now, a lot of bubbling up of like, the chaos is bubbling up so that we can get through and to that point.
I think would you say that it mirrors the personal experience, right? Because it's all fractal patterning and the macro and the micro are all mirroring one another. So it's like the experience you have of like everything is flowing great and wonderful at times, and other times it's like, what is all this stuff coming up?
And
I think that's what
it doesn't stop. From my understanding, it's not going to stop coming. You just learn to ride the waves, basically the waves of emotion, because I've actually begun to look at my emotions differently. I used to think of, the negative emotions as bad emotions and you have to suppress them. But now that I've learned to actually feel my emotions, I'm actually learning to look at it in a different way also. And be able to like kind of dialogue with it. To put it to where it's like, it's just gonna come and go, and eventually it'll get to a point where I'm just riding the wave and it's not it's not really phasing me.
Because it's just that's life. That life is just a certain unfolding flowing of life. Existence exists and we're flowing through and around it or whatever. And that the more comfort of realizing that process is like, it just makes things, again, you still feel all the stuff. You still feel suffering and joy and anger and all that, but it's not, it doesn't become like an attachment.
It's like you don't stay in it.
It's just like witnessing it more often and realizing that's just experience that I'm having, and that I don't have to react or express that experience outwardly. That is something
exactly. Or like ruminate in it type of thing. So it's definitely something I've learned to do. And then I've also realized that my goal is to actually even get excited about the chaos, because usually what I've learned is when there's chaos or something crazy that happens, there's actually a big upgrade after it when you actually feel through it the right way.
And I think it's because it's the cyclical nature of life, kind of,
it's like the birthing process of life in general and creation. It's like you have to go through the labor pains to get to the
then like, because if we're working through patterns and old patterns, and then it's a necessity that like that some of the old patterns, limiting beliefs arise, so that we can kind of process some sort of way. Like, okay, that's not a thing anymore. I don't have to hold on to that anymore. But you can't have that unless you have the experience itself.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, I don't want to hold you too long. We've already kind of gone over the time.
Yeah. He was right on it too. He was like waved by, and I'm like,
right. I'm telling you, he just started singing. Did you hear him? He was like singing "Bye, friends."
That's what he was saying. He's like, "Bye." And I'm like, you're right, man. We got to get going.
I was like, okay.
Just picking up on it.
Yeah. That's funny. I do feel like he's really sensitive to energy, and I'm like, I pick up on what he is picking up on. So it's almost, I don't know, it's interesting, like conscious mothering now.
Yeah. Because kids really are quite like magical for sure.
Yeah. You know, and obviously I'm not perfect, but there's definitely I've definitely seen some interesting things though, and just him being able to name his emotions now too, because I've been trying to teach him emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay. Well, how can people get a hold of you if they want to work with you?
So two more realistic ways is my email. So Miguel at sovereignflowcoach.com. My business phone number is 360-471-1188. Just text, say, hey, I'm just curious about this, that, and the other thing. If you're interested, the website is sovereignflowcoach.com /1-1 coaching. So one-on-one coaching. But again, the email and phone number is probably more realistic because the website's just going to direct you to those two anyways, is the email. But if you want to look at the website, it'll give you kind of some idea of some of the other stuff I focus on. But anyway, yeah. Well, thanks so much, though, for having me here.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. It was definitely a good conversation. I love having these conversations.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah. Okay. I do usually ask like a closing wisdom question to everyone. Okay. It's basically, if you could say that you found one truth about our divinity, what would that truth be?
It's hard not to think straight back to what we just said, which is like, there's nothing wrong with you, and you're not broken. Because that to me is just like, that can change so much. So I would say that. Okay. That feels best for me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. All right. Well, we will end it on that note today, and you guys have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you.